Yo, 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 what's goody? It's Bear in the building. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Kueen Talk. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button, like button, leave a comment. Let us know what you think of this episode. It is going to be a great one. Today we have Dr. Lulu, is a queer Nigerian born pediatrician, educator, parent, coach, and CEO of Dr. Lulu's Life Coaching Lounge. She is a mother of a transgender young adult and works to educate families, healthcare providers, and non medical organizations on accepting, affirming, and supporting their LGBTQ children, patients, and employees. A former lieutenant colonel and commander in the U.S. Air Force, Dr. Lulu is also an award winning LGBTQ plus and DEI advocate. I the
I
accolades are amazing, by the way. Like
know.
this,
And
it is
really,
amazing.
at the end of the day, to my kids, I'm just mom, and that's my favorite name.
The favorite title is mom, huh?
Yeah, that's it.
It's I really appreciate you joining Queen Talk, being a part of this, and sharing your experience. Uh, for Queen Talk, I wanted this platform to be like educational, informative, and storytelling, which
hmm
I feel like you are perfect example of a guest that I'm looking for. So just thank you again for joining.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
And in your to get started, I just like to I introduced you, but if you could let the audience know how you identify in the community, your age, if you want to give that, and your ethnicity, I gave it, but yeah, just a little bit that wasn't mentioned.
Whoa! So obviously, everybody who is an adult has already gotten a lot of years behind them, and hopefully as many years ahead. So I'm 55. I'll be 56 in March, my next birthday. And yes, I was born, bred, buttered, and slightly burned in Nigeria, one of the most homophobic as well as most religious countries in West Africa. So that goes to tell you. I am the first of six children. All my siblings are still alive and well. 2 days ago was my dad's 90th birthday. So I'm
Wow.
excited about that. He's alive and well. My mom is also. I when I was, I don't know, 11, I noticed that I was attracted to, I liked girls. I liked looking at girls' bodies, and I just didn't know what that meant. And growing up in Nigeria as a very Catholic child raised in a Catholic home, my auntie that I even just mentioned that to her, she was like, "Oh my God, you're going to go to hell! Don't even say that again." So I just didn't. And then when I was 16, I one of my classmates had mentioned something in my yearbook about that she suspected that I was a homosexual. So I was like, "Oh, if my dad is going to read my yearbook, I better tell my dad." So I
Oh,
told my dad that I liked girls and I liked boys. And my dad, who's just a Nigerian Catholic red cap Igbo chief, said what he knew, which is it's a phase, it's going to pass. I want to start my story there because a lot of parents, like my father, think the same thing or they want the same thing. They want it to be true. They want their child to not be gay for a long time. They want their child to be gay for a little bit. Just be gay for
mm-hmm.
a period. Let it just be a phase, please, Lord. The twist, the funny twist to the story is while I was that child whose father said he thought it was a phase, I became that parent to
Mm.
my transgender daughter who, when I still thought he in quotes was gay, I was like, please let this not last. So I want to hold space for parents who don't know what they don't know. And then I want to make a case for people who are not queer, have no business making statements about queer people, but also to drive home the fact that even queer people struggle with queerness.
Yes.
Even queer parents struggle with their kids being queer. I need to put that in my book, as a matter of fact, because I don't think I
Yes.
put that line there in my book. Um, this book is dropping in the next couple of
Shit.
weeks. I need to put the fact that even queer parents, nobody wants their child to be queer. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
wants to be queer, we all struggle with internalized homophobia because of the environment and the society. And then we also struggle with external homophobia towards queer people. As you and I know, a lot of people who are really staunch homophobes are closeted gays. They
Yeah.
are.
Right.
And also, a lot of very, very outspoken allies are also closeted gays because
Mhm.
society just won't let us be. They just won't let
Right.
us be.
And it's not, I just want to like touch a little bit on the even being queer, you can have some biases and some thoughts of others to be like, I'm not like them, or I'm you think you're better than because you're not this, because you don't know. And I also think it's just, it happens within like the black community too. It's all marginalized groups. I feel like you get so much hate from like the outside groups that you want to say you're not like them. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm better than them. I'm not this way, but really it's like they're talking about you too. If you're the but for some reason we think like we're a hierarchy if we're not the lowest of the marginalized group that they're talking
Yes, we're not
about.
the lowest. And unfortunately, in today's world, black transgender women are at the bottom of the barrel. I think they are below the pet
Yeah.
level, even in today's world. Matter of fact, there's some people whose pets are above all black people in their
Yeah.
minds, of course. This is not real, right?
Right.
So I agree with you. I don't know that the word is that we're necessarily better than them. I think it's like we're different. And so because we're different, we're not the same. Unfortunately, as a physician, I know that once you cut the skin and peel the skin, everybody is the same.
Mhm.
White people are not better, Asians are not better. All of us are the same once you peel off the superficial, just the skin level, just the
Right.
skin. All the
Exactly.
muscles are the same, eyeballs are the same, the JJ is the same, your kidneys are the same. Everything is the same once you peel the layers. So I think in the black community, what I really want us to remember is you already have experience with being the underdog. You already do. You know what it's like to be the underdog. So I don't want to say, how dare you think someone else is lower than you. I want to say, lean into that. Lean into the fact that you already know you're an underdog. And so, and bring other people along with you. I talked about this yesterday. I don't know if it was the guy that I went out on a date with, I forget. But I was telling someone that the number one killer, yeah, it was a black, I didn't go on a date with him yet, but it was a black guy that I met on a dating site. And just to answer your question, I'm pansexual. And to finish the story, I thought I was a lesbian, then I thought I was bisexual, and I just recently, at the age of 55, realized that I'm pansexual. That's another day's conversation. We can talk about that later. But this guy, I was telling him, I said, the number one killer of black women is black men, whether black men like it or not. And it's not necessarily just killing physically, which it is, but also emotionally killing us. Their knees are on our necks, black men. And you would think that it will be the opposite because they are all born of a woman. Yet there's this internal hatred, and it's obvious everywhere. Either they date more white women, or they date white women when they get to a certain level, they want to date white women, or they just low key take digs at black women. They just, and that's what he did on the phone, which is why I told him, I said, you know what? I think you are taking subtle digs at me. You are. I can feel it. You can't tell me how to feel.
Hmm.
And of course, my feelings come from a thought, but my thought is because of what you said. So I was like, how does it make you feel to take subtle digs at a woman that you want to go on a date with? And so at the end of the phone call, I blocked him. I said, I'm out. But
Yeah.
yeah, so black people have no business hating on other black people. Some black women hate on black women. I mean,
Yeah, I
trans
think
women get a
it's
lot of hate from other women too, but this black men versus black women thing is just,
it's
as
very
much as they
unfortunate.
advertise black love, they want to talk about black love, but we also see the subtle digs at black women, especially ones that are successful and outspoken. I cannot dim my light for anybody. I don't care who you are. It's my light. I get to
Yeah.
shine it.
Yeah, I think like from my personal experience, like I'm raised in Wichita, Kansas. I don't know if you've ever even heard of it.
Yeah, I
If
was stationed at Wichita. I think we have a base,
okay,
McConnell Air
yeah,
Force Base.
McConnell. Yes, okay,
I was
yes,
commander over there. Yeah, it's a small
okay,
world.
yes. All right. So you've been
Commander
here.
over
You
at McDonough Air Force Base.
so when you were here, you seen the amount of people of color that may be here. Like if you go out to a restaurant or something, there's not many people. And I wasn't born in Wichita, but I just gave that example. I'm like 30 minutes in a smaller town called El Dorado.
Oh,
So it's I was the only black female that graduated in my graduating class. So a
oh,
lot of people around me, like they didn't it's like almost programmed, and it's not just like the town I'm from, just like programmed in of like you see it on the movies growing up of like what the black woman portrays or
mm,
what society says. So like growing up, I the only good representation that I seen of a black woman was my
mm,
mom, my grandmother, my aunts. But like if I were to watch TV, I'm not seeing that growing up. I didn't see that growing up. Or um I'm in this town that doesn't everyone that's a black woman is my family, so I know them. So like the outside, like I there was no other outside sight of that besides of what's portrayed on TV, in
yeah.
my family. So I think like as far as like the black men, I've had someone literally tell me to my face that they believe 90% of black women are ignorant. Like that's like and telling me
Verbatim.
uh, tell
Verbatim. It's funny because, not to interrupt you, but it's funny because studies have shown that black women are the most people in the world, like in America. So black women, so two things. Black women are the most educated gender in America. But Nigerians are the most educated people in the world. So I am a Nigerian
mhm,
woman. So where does that put me? And so I'm not going to apologize for being
mhm,
smart. I'm not going to apologize for you and your tiny dick syndrome, because that's really what I call it. Like
mhm.
that's a you problem.
Yeah,
It's not a
it's
me problem. We're not going to dim our lights.
yeah, and I think like just the beginning, like your accolades, some people can be intimidated by you, like
Oh
just
yeah, he said that. He said, "Oh, she's intense," and I said, "What does intense mean?
yeah,
What is intense?"
yeah, yeah. So it's like yeah, you just got to find someone on your level, Dr.
Oh
Lulu.
yeah. Oh no. It's not a question. I mean,
Yeah,
and but I'm used to it now. It's like, but I have
mhm,
no problem with that because I'm not. Guess what? I It's a you problem, and
yeah,
I would just tell him. I said, once I get to that, it's a you problem. I'm done.
yeah,
And I told him, I said, this conversation. I told him, I said, this conversation is over. That's what I
yeah,
told him. I said, it's over. I'm not here to cater to your ego. That's not how that works. Like my baby would say, Mom, that's not how that works. I was like, so Mom, that's not how that. Mom, read the room. I'm like, ooh, come over here, son. But yeah, I told him, I said, no, that's not how that works. I'm over. The conversation is over because
mhm,
there are men out there who are not intimidated by me,
right,
and
yeah.
and they're out there, and I'll
But
find them.
definitely. But I just like I really think it is like the outside world telling people because like that about black women that they are not. That's why they're not attracted to black
But
women.
you don't have to listen to the outside world. I hear you.
That part. That part.
I hear you.
That
And
part.
that's part of what I do as a gender and sexuality educator and a gender and sexuality coach. I actually help queer folks shine. I don't
Yeah.
like to use the word coming out. I use the word inviting in. But I help queer folks just live radically confident lives. It's not your problem if somebody is feeling intimidated by you. Yeah, I mean, the worst thing they can do is go buy a gun and kill you. Okay. You can kill some of us, you can't kill all of us, because guess what? Every moment, a queer kid is being born by straight people, by the way,
Hmm.
right? Most parents that are not in the closet are heterosexual, meaning that homosexuals are born and created and made by heterosexuals. So
Hmm.
it's a them problem.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like Lizzo said, I think we're all gay. I think there are more gay people on this earth than those that are not. And they're just unfortunately going to go to their graves, with that. And that's
Yeah.
sad, but we're not gonna listen to them. Just because society says black women are angry, all that, yes, and
Yeah. And I don't think that's a yes and, because I don't think that statement is true that
it's not
that
even
black.
true exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying yes, not yes is true, but I'm saying yes, that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they
Yeah.
say that,
It-
and
right. That
does
doesn't
that
make it
does that
true.
make it true? Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah. But even not it's not yes, but it's yes and.
Yeah. I
So
yeah.
what? So what?
Yeah. I
Weird.
and you grew up in Nigeria. When did you move to Atlanta? Like, did you come Nigeria straight to Atlanta? Or have you been in Atlanta since you've been here, or like how did that transpire?
Are you in Atlanta, Georgia, by the way?
Nope, I'm in Kansas still. I'm in
Oh, you're still in
Kansas.
Kansas. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, we're not in Kansas anymore. Okay. Well, so I was born in Nigeria, and I did elementary school. We don't have middle school, elementary school, high school, medical school.
Okay.
And then I came here in 94 for my residency. As a matter of fact, last week I celebrated my 30th anniversary of coming to America.
Oh,
So
nice.
December 4th, 1994, I came to America as a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed 25-year-old woman. And today I'm 55 and I'm just as bright-eyed and just as bushy-tailed. And I just moved to Atlanta, Georgia this year. So
Okay.
I first arrived in New York and the cold almost killed me. Yes, I said that with my full chest. I almost died of cold. And then I went to the DC area because I went to Howard, HU, and then I got married to my ex-husband, and my eldest was born in Maryland, and then we moved to the Carolinas, where I started my practice, a pediatric practice, and I did that for 13 years until the divorce. And after the divorce, I just didn't want to stay. I mean, I stayed for like maybe another couple of years, but I just didn't want to stay anymore. So then my one of my kids were like, "Mom, wasn't Grandpa in the Air Force?" I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "Well, I mean, you could join the Air Force, right?" I was like, I can. And
Oh,
so
wow.
that's literally how that happened. So at the age of 42, I joined the Air Force. I came in as a high major, what they call a direct accession. So I came in directly from the streets of Charlotte, North Carolina, and I came in as a high major. And then the day I did my swearing in, I became a lieutenant colonel and commander that day of my fleet. And then I was stationed at Lackland Air Force Base, aka JBSA Lackland, and I did my 4 years there, and then I got out after 4 years, and I just moved here from San Antonio, Texas, in January.
That's
That's my story in a nutshell.
awesome. That is
Somewhere along the line, I got married to my ex-wife. I always don't remember. Like, there's just so much to talk about. But in the Carolinas, I met her. I fell truly, madly, deeply in love with this human. I tell people, I said it was like a movie, and I just saw her, and everything else was blurred. I promise you. And I just like, and before the end of the day, I think she was pulling at my at my jeans and looking at the color of my underpants because I said something about, oh, I always match my bras with my panties. And then she was like, oh, I see. And it was just a beautiful relationship. And that was like the first day we met. I'm like, who is this? And she was like, oh, no, I'm strictly Dickly. I'm like, mm-hmm. But it was a beautiful relationship. We just grew apart. And then the lockdown just did us in. The
Was that
lockdown
your
just did.
first relationship with a woman?
It was
Was
the one that I married. It was the one that I married. I had a crazy crush on Keisha, who I don't even think Keisha knows to this day that she was like my first major girl crush that I really wanted to be with. But when I was in high school, I went to an all girls high school. So there were some girls that I
oh,
kind of sort of liked ish, but nothing. There was one girl that I really liked. She was my junior, so of course there was no fraternization. She doesn't even know that I liked her. Then there's
Yeah,
another girl that I liked,
but
I
just
just liked
liked,
them,
but
but I didn't
never
act.
dated.
No, no, not in. No, I never dated till I was in medical school. No, no. Oh my
Yeah.
God,
So the
no.
first woman that you dated was at what age?
I married her. Yes, I
Oh,
married her.
okay. So yeah, so you got introduced really quick of how quick female relationships can work.
When I say I fell truly, madly, deeply in love with her, I did. I don't
Yeah,
have a. I'm very proud to say I don't have a history of having dated too many people.
that's
I was
good.
married to her for 10 years. I was
Oh,
married to my ex for 13 years. So between the two of them, that's 23 years, and I'm 55. So it's almost half of my life I was married to these two people. And before that, I didn't date a lot because I started dating at 22 when I was finishing medical school, and I got married at 29. And I had one boyfriend um, through our college, and so I just fall in love with people, and I just like them, and I just want to be with them, and they want to be with me, and we just have fun.
yeah. So I have to ask, when you first initiated this relationship with the female, the one that you married. Now in Nigeria, I just read that like it's still a thing. Like there's a Christian group condemning LGBTQ and stuff like that, wanting stricter laws. And so what was your family like? Because I've seen like in videos and stuff, like you've taken your kids home, like and stuff like that too. So what's your family like? Your mom, your dad, and people back at home. So what's that like?
So I met my ex-wife here in America. I've been here for 30 years, so that means I did meet her here. We got married in 2012 as soon as the Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed.
Mm,
We got married. So thank you, Obama. We, I have a family that has a lot of LGBT people.
okay,
The,
nice.
the first thing I want to say is just to go back a little bit to remind anyone who's listening to this that people ask me that all the time. So you're Nigerian. I mean, how is all the homophobia? And I'm like, wait, isn't there homophobia in America?
Hmm.
Isn't America spelled with three Ks? Like, and there are more homophobes in America. So there's homophobes everywhere, is what I'm saying. In
Yeah.
America, we have Christian groups right now advocating against gays. It's everywhere. So I usually want to remind people that it's not a Nigerian thing. It's actually a Western problem. Because thanks to the research I'm doing on my two books, this one is about transgender kids, and this one is for parents of LGBT kids. Thanks to my research, I know that Africa originally has always been pro. We've always had same gender relations, same sex thing. We've always believed in third genders, fourth genders, ancient Africa. So homophobia was imported by colonialism right next to Christianity. I want to repeat that for those at the back. You can look up the studies. This is not drlulu.com. This is facts that Africa, ancient indigenous communities and indigenous societies, ancient indigenous intelligence has always been pro same gender, same sex loving, third genders, other genders, which is why we have two spirit right now, which is from indigenous society. In Africa, when you have a word for something, that means that that thing exists. In my language, Igbo land, for instance, in Igbo, we do not have gendered pronouns. Our pronouns are they, them. There's no he, her. Unless, of course, you hear the context. You say, oh, it's a guy that's talking, or their name. But we have a lot of names, like my name, Uchenna, is unisex. Why? There are hardly any Western names that are unisex. John is not unisex. Michael is not unisex. Madison is not unisex. But Uchenna is unisex. So we have a lot of ancient intelligence supporting that. We always had third genders and same sex. I mean, ancient writings on Egyptian walls show same sex love acts in ancient Egypt. So this is not something that Africa has never known. I
Right,
don't care
right.
what anybody says. But also, if you look at what I said at the beginning, I said Nigeria is one of the most religious and most homophobic. You can see the parallel. Religion, or rather, should I say, Abrahamic religion, Western religion is what brought this in.
Mm,
It's never been an African thing. So I want to just put that disclaimer there for those who don't know. And as an
right.
educator, I don't mind educating. This is
Hmm.
a fact. That said, of course, I was raised Catholic. I said at the beginning, my aunt was like, "You're going to go to hell." So people who adopt Western religion adopt homophobia, even though Jesus said nothing about the gays. As a matter of fact, in today's world, Jesus probably hang out with the gays. I just see Jesus as rolling with us. He wore dresses, he had long hair, and he wore sandals. I mean, hey, who knows? But that said, that aside, I think the answer to your question is yes, in my inside family, there are people who are homophobic and transphobic, but also in my inside family, we have more than three of us who are LGBT. My uncle. I mean, it's like this is not a new thing. So it's
I,
yeah,
I hear what you're saying.
yeah.
it's a worldwide thing of homophobia. It's not
Yes,
just Nigeria.
we have, even as we are poised to have the Supreme Court take a decision anytime soon about gender affirmation. That's going to be a law. The state
Yeah.
of Texas has outlawed any kind of gender affirmation for 18 and under, trans kids only, not all children,
Hmm.
only trans children.
Yeah.
Texas, where my own trans child lives as a 26-year-old adult trans woman. The UK, the entire United Kingdom, last week banned, or was it this week, banned completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
it's not a Nigerian thing. The laws are not Nigerian. Ghana actually is the one that has passed a law. Uganda has passed a law.
yeah.
Kenya has passed a law. South Africa hasn't.
Okay.
Botswana hasn't. We have about a dozen African countries that are not homophobic at all. Seychelles,
So
many African countries, but West African countries specifically are very homophobic because,
yeah.
again, they're very religious. I want to,
Yeah.
I want to showcase that fact. But that said, I know a lot of Nigerians who are happily gay. I spoke at the UK Black Pride in August in London. There were 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people there. Half of them were Nigerians and half of them were queer because they were at the Black UK Pride. So there's queerness
Yes.
flourishing in Nigeria. Today at
Good.
9 a.m. this morning, they had a webinar that was discussing the intersection between religion and queerness, BC Alimi Foundation in Nigeria. And I was in the Zoom room, right? So it's even though just like in America, there are laws against it. In America, we still have queer folks who are celebrating queer joy.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
and I
so I
think
wanted,
that's yeah.
yeah, go ahead, my
And
dear.
I'm glad that you're bringing that up because Queen Talk is representation. So to see, you don't have to be scared. Like if you're Nigerian, there are multiple people that are this way. Like regardless of what it is like the homophobia, like you said, it is everywhere. But that doesn't
Mhm.
mean that the representation of Nigeria queer is not out there. So
Oh my God,
I
Nigerian queerness is is at the forefront of queerness. Nigerian queerness. We have authors like me, but also lots of other authors. We have Reverend Jide Macaulay, who is in the UK, who is a reverend and calls himself Mother mother something like he's a pastor, but he's a gay flamboyant. He was at the global pride that was celebrated in Atlanta, Georgia. He was there. Michael Igodaro was there. These are all forefront. There was a trans mask that came from Nigeria, all the way from Nigeria, living full transitioned fully. We have a lot of gay queer representation in Nigeria. It's such a beautiful eclectic mix of people, and I love that in spite of the religious, I guess, persecution, in spite of the anti-gay marriage laws, we have. I am one of the foremost followers of the LGBTQ plus Facebook group that celebrates weddings and unions, and they always feature Nigerians there. We always feature black. It's only for black LGBT. I don't know the name right now, but because I'm talking about it, the algorithm is probably going to show it to me in a minute. But it's like they always the black LGBT in Africa is really, really, really doing very well. People just don't know that. I'll
Hmm.
find it very soon and I'll
Yeah.
share with you. But this queerness is, oh my God. And
Yeah.
I'm so happy. And I'm here for all of it. Many of them follow me on my Instagram. Many of them follow me on Instagram. And some of them even just send me DMs saying, thank you so much for being a face of what's possible. And I'm just so happy. I'm like everybody's rich queer
Right.
auntie. I love being able to be that.
Yes. And done a lot, and you have a book coming out. I wanted to talk about the book, The Black Transgender Child,
Please,
and
let's talk about the book.
what. Of course, you have a transgender child. Is that like why you created this book? Because as we said in like the beginning of this, your own understanding, like you even said the same thing, like it's a phase. Like what what made you want to be like, okay, I need this to create this book?
That's a great question. A lot of times we're told that in coaching, you're best poised to coach the person you used to be. So I
I like that.
decided I used to be that parent who was not affirming. I used to be that queer child who was told that is a phase. And today I'm an example of the fact that you can have all of that and still do what's right by your child. And I get my Facebook group has 2,000 parents, and we get maybe 10 people joining every week, and they're all looking for the same thing. Other parents whose kids are queer, other parents whose kids are trans, other parents whose kids are black and queer. So I thought, why not write a book? This one, actually, I started writing it a long time ago, and the American Academy of Pediatrics is going to fully publish it. So I thought, okay, well, since they're publishing that one now, I'm going to go ahead and write this one, because there's no book out there by a black parent of a trans kid for black parents of trans kids. So the book is called About Your Black Transgender Child, Answers to Most of Your Burning Questions. Because I can't answer I don't know all the questions people have, but I know most of them.
Hmm.
And so the book it's 39, 40 chapters, and each chapter is titled about something. So about relationships, about intersectionality, about transitioning, about your child and their doctor, about your child, about your thoughts, about handling homophobia, about telling when to tell, right? Each one about gender affirming surgery, about gender neutral restrooms. I mean, each chapter is about something, right? Let's talk about it.
I love
And so
that.
I'm very proud of the book. It's dropping December 31st. So help me God. I'm really seriously, doing my final reviews and my final edits. And I should be done by the grace of God. By the end of next week, I should be done with all of my edits and just push the book out to publish it. So I'm really excited about this book. I'm really
It
excited
is.
about it.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about transgender people because I'm not transgender, but I'm the next thing. I'm the next best thing because I'm a mother of a trans kid. But I'm also a pediatrician. So I have been talking to parents my whole life as a physician. And I happen to be a parent of a trans kid. And Google is your friend, ChatGPT is your friend. So what I don't know, I ask on my Facebook page. All the trans people usually respond. I quote many of them in the book. Are quoted in the book. Oh my God, so many of them. I have a whole prompt that I said, all trans people, tell me what is trans joy to you. And I had like 54 or more people. So I have enough content to share what trans joy means, right? Even
Mhm.
without being trans. Because I
Yeah.
want the parents to know that your child being trans is not a death sentence. It's actually a happy thing, it's a joyful thing. So I want you as a parent to also celebrate your own parenting joy. The biggest thing that I talk about is parents ask me, Dr. Lulu, how can I accept my child? Or how do I, accept my child? But what they're really asking me is, how do I affirm my child?
Hmm.
However, the first question is, how do I accept myself and my identity as a parent of a queer child, as a parent of a trans child? Once the parent accepts their identity, the child is easy. Kids just want to be fed dinner and put to bed. They want to be read a book. They want to be able to bring their friends to the house. They just want you to just show them that home is safe. So
Yes.
to do that, you have to accept this assignment you've been given, this mission you've been given. So your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to accept yourself so that you can affirm your child. Affirmation is the outward things that come from your self acceptance. That's what I said in the book.
Yeah.
Affirmation means you're doing everything outwardly because you have first accepted yourself. And then you don't say to your child, I want to affirm you. No, your actions, your words will make your child feel affirmed, feel validated, feel seen, feel supported. But first, we have to get rid of what are you thinking,
Mm-hmm.
because all your actions come from your thoughts. So, what are your thoughts about the queer community? And where did those thoughts come from? Because if they came from someone like my dad who is not queer, it doesn't hold water.
Mm-hmm.
So, do your thoughts come from a queer person? And is that queer person homophobic? It's like this is very complicated. You see how it's an entanglement. You can't
Mm-hmm.
just, you have to take out each string and follow it to the end, and then let's release the real you. Because you, dear parent, might actually be queer yourself,
Yeah.
like in my
Yeah.
case. But
Yes.
even as I was queer, it didn't stop me from being homophobic. It didn't stop me from being transphobic. My own child
Mm-hmm.
said, Mom, our house was extremely transphobic when I was growing up. And she was right.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
married to my ex wife. Both of us were transphobic.
Yeah.
Queer people can be transphobic, it's a thing.
It is. It is.
Black people can be homophobic, it's a thing. So just because you're one of the underdogs doesn't mean you cannot. They say all
Be part of the problem.
kinfolk cannot, yeah, be part of the problem. All kinfolk cannot kinfolk. What does that mean? That means black people can actually, like we were saying at the beginning, can be the problem when it comes to another black person because that person is queer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We talk about just giving, like a lot of the past episodes is just personally from my experience and a lot of the people that have been on my podcast is giving our parents like grace, so much grace. Like it's when we tell, because we give ourselves so much grace. What I didn't come out until I was a senior in high school, but I knew, but it was like I was fighting it within myself of just like, okay, I'm not ready to do this yet. So it's like when you tell someone else, they're going to go through the same process as you did before you actually came true to yourself. So it's like, and it's like going through grief in a sense of what your parents thought their child's life was going to be like what they thought it was going to be. And so you bring up like this acronym I seen in one of your things is just the affirming your child, believing your child,
Yeah, ABCD.
creating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I feel like in the sense like those are the steps too of like what your parents needs to go through,
Yeah.
and it's okay, but also it's okay for like the person that's queer to take space for themselves too. Wow.
Absolutely. I actually don't preach. I don't preach. I've never preached grief. The first time I wanted to explore that and said, "Oh, you're mourning the loss of the child you expected." My kid helped. She was like, "No." She pulled up my. She said, "No, mom. What are they mourning? The child is here."
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
don't use that. And that was supposed to be my
I love
second,
that.
the one. I don't know if you've seen the TED Talk, the little clip that's gone viral. He has me talking about inviting in. We
Hmm.
have like, I don't know, 400,000 views now. Just a 30-second clip of that is on my page. In that TED Talk, I was supposed to say to the parents, first of all, the TED Talk is titled Rethinking the Closet, right?
Hmm.
Coming out versus inviting in, which is why this is called Invited In. I want the parents to know that they have been invited in to their child's world. It's not the other way around.
Yeah, I like that.
And so, if the child needs to, and I forgot where I was going with that, but just going back to what you said about all the things, the parent ideally should not have any expectations. My third TED Talk is titled Let the Children Lead. parenting as students. Because I want parents, you don't know your child. You think you do, but you don't.
Hmm.
You
Right.
only know what your child shows you. And I use an example of peanut allergies. Very simple. I said, how do you know your child is allergic to peanuts? You have to first give it to them, and then your child will have a reaction. Same thing with any kind of knowledge that has to be. Your child has to tell you, Mom, I don't like broccoli. I love spaghetti. Then you now know your child loves spaghetti. And so same thing with being queer. You can suspect all you want, but if your child doesn't really find you safe enough to invite you in, then you don't know for sure,
Yeah.
right? And so when there's all these things, we also go through our own internalized homophobia. We also have our own journey of self-acceptance as queer people. But the reason I don't want to focus on mourning or grieving anymore is because my child, who is a trans man, said, Mom, when your child is dead, you can grieve. But
Hmm.
this child is alive. All you gotta do is just change your perception. It's a mirage. You thought your child was this. Your child isn't. There's nothing to grieve. Grieve. So parent the child that you have.
Yeah.
Because if you focus on grief, then how long is the grieving period?
Right.
The
Right.
child is here.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That is
like
what
that.
got me. Yeah, that's what got me to say, wait, wait, wait. If a child passed away, I'm not going to tell you how long to grieve. But
Mhm.
this child is alive, so you want to grieve. What are you actually grieving? The child is saying, Mom, I'm not red.
Yeah.
So you're going to be over here saying, oh, oh. So what about the child though?
Yeah. I'm gonna start using that instead because you're right. Because the child isn't dead.
She was right. She checked me. But yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. I love that because it's just me again giving parents more grace. And for you, how do you split the dynamic of this is your child, like giving the child more grace than the parents? Because I feel like
Yeah.
I have a
No,
problem with
I think parents have had too much grace. We've had enough grace, and let me tell you why. Because children always want to please their parents. Children never want to disappoint their parents. Children never want to hurt their parents' feelings. That's the other way around. That's the child here. This is why we have a high rate of suicide. So let's be honest. That African American kids aged 5 through 12 are twice as likely to die by suicide as their white counterparts. Why? Because of societal pressure. So we're not going to give adults, whether it's a parent, an auntie, a cousin, we're not giving adults grace when we have a child involved.
yeah,
And because of this whole grace thing, some adults in the law, the legislature, now they've dug their heels in. They're now digging their heels in. Okay, we are going to tell you what to do. No,
yeah.
so we can't give parents. If you want to learn, Google is your friend. Ask other parents. Don't ask your child. But you need
Hmm.
to get with the program sooner than later because guess what? The kid is going to grow up and leave and never come back. The kid is going to be depressed and anxious and suicidal. Is that what you want? So that I can be given, so you can be, oh, I have grace.
Yeah.
So we can't do that. I'm sorry. The parents that I coach, they know straight up. I'm very direct. Listen, your child is gay. And if your child was born by another parent, they will still be gay. So it's not a you didn't do it. And
Yeah.
remove that guilt from, oh, what did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. Your child just is. God made your child. So you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't make your child to begin with. So I want them to understand that fundamentally you did not create this kid. They came through you as if you are the vessel, but you didn't give the kid life.
Yeah.
So you don't get to determine who they're going to be because that's the problem. That's why we have such a high suicide rate. The people who die by suicide, they're not dying because they're queer. They're dying because of the expectations and the pressure. So let's remove the pressure. And for parents need to understand that you are not only the most important person in your child's life, you're also the most influential.
Hmm.
And so that's critical for how much suffering you want your child to be in.
Yeah.
No parent wants their child to suffer. So if you don't want your child to suffer, then don't be part of the problem. There's a big picture there's a small picture, a picture of a parent, two parents with a big giant scissors about to cut their baby's transgender wings. And then we say, of all the things you can be, don't be your child's first bully, dear parent.
Yeah. That part. Don't be your child's first bully. I like that because I feel like you said a lot of great things. And it's just like I growing up, you do just want to please your parents so much. Like
Yes.
you don't want to disappoint them in any way, and that was a big portion of why like I didn't want to tell them. Like I just didn't want.
Exactly, because you're afraid of what they're going to how they're going to. But the truth is, you did not create yourself, and then that's what I tell the queer people that I coach. You did not create yourself.
Mhm. Yeah.
You did not create yourself.
Yeah.
And so once you come to the realization, I say to them, inviting people in is ultimately about safety. So
Yeah.
if you don't feel safe, don't tell.
Yeah.
But don't prevent yourself from knowing, because the beautiful thing is that you know. And you can go to your
Yes.
grave with it if you choose. You don't have to
Mhm.
tell anyone if you don't want to. And that's what I talk about. If you ask 100 people, 100 trans people about transition, you get 100 different ways, because transition means 100 different things to 100 different people. Some people want to transition, some
Mhm.
people don't want to transition. Just like
Right.
queerness. Some people want to tell people, some people don't want to tell people. I tell people that I'm pansexual because I want people to realize that you can discover your pansexuality at 55. Because I'm in this space of education, I want to open up the fact that it's ongoing.
Right. Yeah.
We're never static. We're always growing and developing and becoming. And
Mhm.
allow yourself to become. 2 days ago, I told a 48-year-old woman, I said, but what if you were queer? She said, you know what? You're right. I have been attracted. I said, and once she said it, she felt so free. I said, that's my job. My work is done.
Yeah. Yeah. I. It is so freeing too. Like once you're able to just like release it and state it. And you mentioned something of like it being ongoing. And when you first said to your father it was you're bisexual, so it's like I said the same thing when I first came out too. I was bisexual, and then I found out I'm not bisexual. i just
Yes.
i just like females.
Well, there you go. And I was
Yeah.
like that. I knew I liked boys. I knew I liked boys. But then I was like, I also like girls. What the fuck is this? Like, but then I only knew the word lesbian when I was in high school. But
Hmm.
I knew that didn't describe me. Because I love me a good dick. That drive me nuts. I like that. But I also I love my ex-wife and I love her boobs. And I'm a boobs kind of girl. And I also
Yeah.
like the soft. And why can't I have all of it? I don't create what I like. If you like strawberries, you like strawberries. Like this is just what you like. I mean,
Yeah.
and then this year I found out, wait, I have this intense attraction to this guy, and I found out that he's trans. I said, wait, what's this? I want to take off my clothes. I'm just like so hot. But last year, there was another girl that I had a crazy crush on, and I found out that she's trans. I'm like, wait, so I'm not bisexual? Wait, what does this mean? I said, oh, it's called pansexual. Oh, and now I'm like, this is a thing.
Hmm.
And it doesn't
Yeah.
mean you have to act on it if you don't want to. But then
Right.
also, if I meet a guy and I like him, I don't care if he's trans, is what I'm saying. I don't care if he's trans.
Yeah.
Because if he's kind to himself and he's kind to me, we're going to have an amazing relationship. And that's the kind of, I'm a sapiosexual. I love people that are kind to themselves and compassionate. Those are the things I'm looking for. I mean, yeah, but after 55 years, you know what? The sex is no longer about the sex. It's about the relationship, the connection. And so I want people to understand that, yes, I'm 55. I'm in my menopause. If I get a good guy with a good dick, I have a good, okay. But 30 years from now, that's not what's going to matter.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's even within that sense too of just like being a part. You mentioned a little bit at the beginning of this episode, but it's just like being a part of like the queer community.
Hmm.
If during, I feel like the last 5 to 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
it's changed of just like what, just like specifically a stud. So, stud, me,
Mm-hmm.
I like always thought I had to be this masculine presenting all the time. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
what a stud is. And I can't show my feminine side because that would make me not gay, I guess, or it would make it seem like I'm something. But just like within the last few years, it's just like accepting all of me and understanding I
All of
don't have to
you.
fit a box and a role of what someone said is the
I
community.
want to cry listening to you. I accept all of you.
Yes, it's
All of it. All of it. Somebody told me, this guy that I was talking to on the phone today, he told me this morning, he said, wow, you don't look like you have fibromyalgia. I said, yes, because I'm not my diagnosis. I'm not going to be walking around, oh, woe is me, I have fibro. No.
yeah,
Yes, it's just a diagnosis. It's fine.
yes.
It,
I
it is. Um,
and I want to know
anyway,
what your Facebook group is called, so that if anyone wanted to join, what is the Facebook group that you
I'm
have,
going
that
to write it. It's
community?
called Parents. Oh, I don't know how to write it. Oh, I thought I could write it. Oh, never mind. So it's called Parents Supporting Parents. Oh, there it is. Okay, so Parents
Parents
Supporting
supporting
Parents.
parent. I will. Yeah, I think it's
And in
and
parentheses, it says LGBTQ plus families. But
okay,
I'll write it here. So
okay,
that's my Facebook group. Um, Obviously, the book is dropping. I hope people go get the book. Oh my God! If you're an organization and you need a speaker, a trainer, a workshop, facilitator, I do those in the DEI space with ERGs, just helping them, you know, support themselves, first of all, if they're queer, but also parents of queer kids in the space as a talent retention tool. Because I realized that where I was working, if I couldn't take my child to work there, and because they don't have gender neutral bathrooms, as an example, I'm not going to last there. After a
yeah,
while, I'm going to find another job because I need to be able to bring all of me as a parent of a trans kid to work, which means if my kid wants to come to work, she can come to work and use the bathroom without feeling any kind of way. So I'm
yeah,
helping organizations realize that. I'm helping doctors. I'm a professor at a couple of the medical schools here. I help doctors also become better allies for their queer patients, for their trans patients, by making their office safe. Because I also know that some of their co-workers are queer, some of their employees are queer, right? It's not just their patients. So
mm-hmm,
I just help them realize that normalizing conversations about queerness. Don't say, "Oh, are you bringing your husband to the Christmas party?"
mm-hmm,
That's assuming that I have a husband.
yeah,
Are you
yeah,
coming with anyone? Are you coming with anyone to the Christmas party?
yeah,
Is one way to say it. Are you bringing your spouse to the Christmas party? Is another way to say it.
yeah,
Who are you bringing to the Christmas party? So it's something simple like that. It's not even,
right,
I didn't even think about it. It just, those three questions just came. I'm going to write an article about it on LinkedIn right now. What not to say about Christmas parties to
yeah,
make sure everybody's inclusive. Everybody doesn't have a husband. Everybody doesn't have a wife,
mm-hmm.
and it may be non-binary. So who are you bringing?
Yeah. That reminds me of just like something to just to have open conversations like with kids, because that happens a lot with kids. Is just like if it's just like a boy, for example, and it's like, oh, do you have a girlfriend these days or
Yes,
anything like that, like, and it's like, first off, like, the kid's so young, why are we even like asking these questions right now? Like, let the kid be a kid.
I
But
love that.
if you're going to ask, like, open that up to where it's not just so direct to where it can only be a girlfriend,
I
like,
love that. I love that. That's one of the things I talk about. I talk about that in the sandbox. I said when the kids are playing in the sandbox, when little Tommy is playing in the sandbox with little Susan, okay? Why is it okay for you to say, "Oh, that's little Tommy's little girlfriend," and it's like giggle, giggle, giggle.
right.
Why can't Steve be little Tommy's boyfriend? And
Hmm.
and you're right. Why is it okay to only have one way to think about it? Why can't it also be? And so that's part of normalizing conversations about that. Okay, don't say anything then,
Hmm. Yeah, and
but don't box your kid into a space and right there. You're already making the child feel a certain kind of way.
Hmm. You mentioned that your house was transphobic. What ways was your house transphobic? I know like that's a little example of a conversation, just like not having open dialogue of just like queerness. But what other ways were where you looked back and like, oh wow, there was a lot of transphobicness in my house. Like, what was that?
So the first thing I know that we did was we used to watch as a family. We always watched America's Top Model together. And one of the things that we always said, that I always said about Miss J,
Hmm.
was, why you gotta be so girly?
Hmm.
Why is it so much? Why is he always so much? And while that was maybe not direct transphobia, I never asked my kid to qualify. She didn't need to, because
Right.
I
Yeah.
knew that deep inside me, I was scared of trans people. Like most people, I was like, well, why can't they just, why do they want to do the surgery? And so I realized, oh, I knew it. So when you believe something, it will show. You don't have to always say it. It just shows. So I knew my kid. I was thinking at that time that we're just gay, and but I still didn't like that. Going back to what I was saying, even though I was living with my ex-wife, the hypocrisy of it, right?
Hmm.
I was like, oh, I just wish you were not gay. Like, why do you have to be gay? God, why make my kid gay? As I was living with my ex-wife. So what I'm trying to say is, kids should not, you see why I said kids should not be giving their parents grace
Hmm.
if their parents are obviously doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So always talking about, oh, Miss J, oh my God, I'm just saying, why does he have to be so girly? Parents need to watch what they're saying because your kids are listening.
Yeah.
Your kids are
Definitely.
listening. And I don't remember exactly, you know, all the conversations, but I remember that one.
Yeah.
And she didn't give me any example, but she doesn't have to give me, because I know that I spoke it out. Like, oh my God, there's one of them. My ex and I would kind of fist bump each other like, oh God, there's another one. The kid is there. But I didn't know that at that point. But now I'm saying to parents, don't do that, period, because you don't know.
Yeah.
And people that say, oh, I don't have any gay kids. Are you sure?
Hmm.
You don't know for sure, because kids will, like we said at the beginning, they will morph themselves. They will do anything to make their parents just. So many children are hiding in plain sight. That's one of the classes that I teach, is about hiding in plain sight.
Hmm.
Because my kid was hiding in plain sight. She was right there the whole time.
Yeah.
And one time I was like, oh, I'm so glad. I've always wanted a daughter. She said, Mom, you've always had a daughter.
Yeah.
She was hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
So I mean, these are this, and because I also I raised my kids to have that kind of conversation. I mean, she went to Stanford, full scholarship. So we
Nice.
raised smart kids. Okay, so I raised, like I said, my baby would say, "Mom, read the room." My baby would say that. Not rudeness, but if I need to be checked, I need to be checked. Parents
Yeah.
should not get extra grace. We're all adults in my house now. My youngest is 20. I
Hmm.
mean, with respect, yes, but still, tug at the edges if they need to be tugged at.
Yeah.
Parents are not without; they're not infallible. They're
Right.
not God. They make mistakes, so
Yeah.
check them.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Dr. Lulu, I just appreciate you coming here today. And I the conversation that we had, it was you gave things to me that I didn't know that I needed to. For me personally, just like I said at the beginning, it was just I'm now moving forward. Like in the past, I would always tell my guests, like, give your parents that grace, and like we said, like the grieving stage, but just like moving forward, because I did that for my parents, and I still do that. I still do that with certain family members. So it's
Yeah,
like I got to get out of that space. So I appreciate this conversation because it's gonna allow me to just like make changes moving forward with some aspects
yeah.
of my
I mean,
life.
that's the thing about knowledge, right? Knowledge is power, which means once you know something, you can't unknow it.
Hmm.
You already know it. And one of the things, and I'm happy to coach you. We can just do one session if you like, just to kind of help you navigate that, which is what I do. A lot of my queer patients, my clients, I just have one session with them. That's it. Because it is so empowering when they're done. It's like they only need one session.
Yeah.
As opposed to the parents who are like, oh, What's my pastor going to say?
Yeah.
Ah, what's
Yeah.
my husband going to say? I'm like, let them say. They're going to say anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So we can't continue to give parents grace as if they don't know. A lot of parents know.
Definitely.
But what they want is what I said at the beginning. They want their child to remain hiding, to protect them. They make it about themselves. We can't do that. And the first line in this book is, oh no, that's not this one. This book is
We.
mom, it's not about you. This book, this is my second one. The first line is mom, it's not about you. And my kid said that to me. Mom, it's not about you.
Yeah.
It's not about you.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Because it's not about me. And again, like I said, with my own parenting style, I welcome my kids checking me. I'm
Mhm.
not infallible. I'm human. I'm
Yeah.
not beyond making mistakes, beyond having blinders. I'm not. I'm just like any other human. I will lean in and say, oh. And so the first line says, Mom, it's not about you. That's what my kids said to me.
Yeah.
And she was right.
Definitely. Definitely. Dr. Lou, I feel like we should leave the audience with that, but I'm gonna ask you, what would you like to leave the audience with today? What
I think what I want to leave them with is the poem by Marianne Williamson. I think I'll leave them with that. So the poem is titled Our Greatest Fear by Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant and gorgeous and talented and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. But check this out though. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, because it always comes down to fear, as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
yes.
Poem.
Love it. Yes. I love that. That's amazing, and you're completely, the poem is very fitting for sure. Um and it is, people want to not speak up for others, not speak out for themselves, is because of fear. A lot of fear has to do with it. Just being a queer person, there is a lot of fear, especially with the unknown of everything that's could be. There's a lot of fear going on, and voices like yours, podcasts like this, is we just have to keep pushing, um, for us. And I just thank you so much, Dr. Lulu, for being a part of this today. And I hope that the parents that are watching, the people a part of the queer community that are watching, really got something from this today as much as I did. Like, to be honest, like, I get a little bit from everyone, like when I do this podcast, but for some, like this one, I'm not even lying, like this one was, it hit different, of just like validating myself a lot more than I usually do. It's like I usually give validation for others to
Mhm.
do what for their reasons, that, as to why they are the way they are for us. But this one was just like, this is me. Like this is who I am, and you guys need to get with the
Unapologetically.
program. I love it. This has been great this morning. I needed this morning.
took you to church this morning. Yes, we
Yes,
did.
you guys make sure Dr. Lulu's book comes out December 31st.
About your black transgender child. Yes.
The
About
about
your and please follow me on IG. I never
Yes,
remember.
I will have your socials at the bottom of this. Yes, make sure you guys check out that book about your black transgender child. It is, I feel like it's a great topic because it pertains to like, I don't have to, that doesn't happen over here.
Yeah, yeah.
Which it
And it goes
does.
deeper than that. It talks
Yeah.
about, I was very intentional when I picked the black transgender child, not about, in the book, I have 10 reasons why black people have this stance. I talk about it in the book. 10 reasons. And I have a lot of research and I talk a lot about ancient African wisdom, which was very welcoming to trans people, to queer people. And I elevated that in the book. I want people to know that also it's not your fault the
Yeah.
way you think because it's society conditioned you. But just because society conditioned you doesn't mean once you know the right thing, you can stop doing that. And so that's why I said you at one point you have to stop listening and ask yourself inside your heart, what does your heart say?
Yeah.
That's it. We'll never finish this talk. Thank you so much. It was very nice.
Yes. Yes. Thank
Appreciate
you guys so much. Thank you, Dr. Lulu. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Queen Talk. If you guys enjoyed this, please let me know what you think in the comments. If you're new here, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, like button. We have a lot of great conversations here on Queen Talk. As you guys can see, I got new merch. If you haven't already, check out queentalk.com. You guys can get some merch there. Dr. Lulu, just thank you again. And as always, family, friends, strangers, love, be nice.